Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Traveling with Francoise. I am Francoise Rhodes, your host. Thanks so much for joining me today after you have watched Craig Campbell and I on live What's Happening Coachella Valley. Yes, that is our show that precedes this show, and we were on Today's California, kind of a little by mistake, but we were there. We're also on Coachella Valley, the Coachella Valley, and Traveling with Francoise. So for those of you that never saw our live show, which normally is who knows where. I mean, we do different locations throughout the Coachella Valley, and we also have overlay, all sorts of stuff. But anyway, we wanted to welcome you to live What's Happening in Coachella Valley. But now it is live Traveling with Francoise, and again, I am Francoise Rhodes, your host. And the weather is cooling off here in the Coachella Valley. We're based out of Palm Desert, and when we talk cooling off, that means we're getting in the high 90s. And for us, that's cool. So I do have you on my phone. I'm going to see if I can find this show when it pops up, and I can answer any of your questions. And by the way, if you want to see a spectacular video of a whale, go to Today's California. Oh, you're on Today's California. Scroll on the Facebook page and look at that video of the whale. It is so beautiful. I could watch it over and over and over. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. So anyway, great to have you with us. And like I say, when I see myself pop up, I'll be able to look at some of your questions or see what you have to say and hopefully answer them for you. Well, in the world of travel, it is just as conflicting as in the world of work or family, or it's just all a big old conflicting mess right now because we're not sure what we should do, what we shouldn't do. People are still doing and going. They're just doing it in a lot of different ways. RV sales through the roof. Mike Thompson's RV said they haven't had sales like this, and I mean, it's just crazy. And what I think is more interesting, not so much the sales, it's the demographic now of younger people who thought RVing was just for seniors are learning that the RV world is a heck of a lot of fun. I know of someone, actually Amber, who does my hair. Her whole family just went on an RV, their very first RV trip. And I'm trying to find myself on here so I can see your, there we are, right there. There I am. All right, hello Anthony and Ricky's. Just made fried rice and mozzarella for breakfast. Oh my gosh, that sounds really good. Diane, hi Diane, how are you? Dan, Gary, and Lane, they're all there. So hi everyone. So anyway, back to Amber. She has a little boy that's, I think he just turned 3 or 4, and a little baby that's only, oh my gosh, just several months old. They went on their first family RV trip and had the trip of a lifetime. They drove all the way to Tennessee. Outside of Nashville they stayed. She said it was so much fun. They were gone 2 weeks. She said they could have kept right on going. So it's a whole new world out there of RVers. They're seeing something that, again, we label things like people used to always label cruises. It's just for seniors. There's nothing to do. It's all about eating. Well, that is so far from the truth. Cruises that actually still are on hold. There's not very many cruise lines out there that are cruising, but there's so much to do on a cruise ship. It's incredible now. I mean, if you don't want to do anything, you have to actually not do anything. That's because there's so much to do. But anyway, I love seeing that the younger families now are finding out about RVs and taking to the road and enjoying themselves. So speaking of taking to the roads for Americans are torn between vacation and isolation. There's still a lot of us that don't know what to do. For me, traveling is fun because for what I do, there isn't always enough open for me to do my shows and whatnot. But I'm getting to the point too where I almost don't even care just to go. However, Americans are 57% of Americans are saying that they won't travel for the holidays this year. They will not be traveling. Of course, international travel is going to be just so few and far between, but they're not even going to travel within the United States right now for the holidays. And it says 80% though that will be traveling, so these numbers kind of jump all over the place. They're going to do it by car, and they're going to go to places where they can be outdoors a little bit more. So there's going to be a lot more cars on the road, which if you remember when the pandemic started, the roads were empty. I've never seen, I'm a California native. All my life I've lived in California, so I know what traffic is like in California, and I've never seen empty roads like we saw in March and April. and probably May too. Anyway, so it's torn out there on what people are going to be doing, but again, like I say, 57% of you right at this very moment are saying that you're not going to be traveling during the holidays. However, that could change by the time the holidays come around. Who knows? Maybe there is a vaccine, maybe you just can't take it anymore, you want to see family. I'm not sure, but we'll see if you really stick to that 57% that are not going anywhere, because isolation, you know, we can only take that so much as well. I think the biggest key to traveling now is to use common sense, wear your mask, stay away from large gatherings. You just have to think differently. If you go to a gas station, you know, put some gloves on before you pump gas into your vehicle. You should be doing it now anyway, frankly. Or make sure you use that sanitizer, hand sanitizer afterwards. I have a bottle of hand sanitizer in my car, so when I put gas in the car, whatever, wherever I go, actually, when I get in the car, I use them. So traveling, again, is different. But I'm going to tell you some things here in California that you might be interested in doing. First of all, Goleta Meadows, the sky art sculptures in Borrego Springs, that people come from all over the world to see these sculptures because they're out in the desert. They're just spread out in the Borrego Valley. They're not in any one location where you go in and pay an admission to see them. They're just free, and you drive out, get out, take pictures, look at them, look at the desert around you. Really fascinating that Ricardo Bracita came up with these. And this was because of Dennis Avery of the Avery paper family had a home out there and wanted to bring art installations to the valley, and he did so in such a grand way. The sculptures that have been closed since March 15th are now open. So all of you, we get phone calls every day at the Chamber, Borrego Springs Chamber of Commerce, because I am the executive director there. Every day we get phone calls. Are the sculptures open? Are the sculptures open? I want to do some night photography. I want to go look at the sculptures at night. Well, they are open. So again, though, you have to follow. Don't gather. Don't get any big crowds around the sculptures. And you are out in the open, so face masks if you see some other people, but you should be okay. So I wanted to let you know that. Our farmers market opens out in Borrego on the 23rd of this next Friday, this coming Friday, the 23rd. So we are excited about that. Borrego Springs is excited about that because we are a small community of about 3,500 people, but it swells because we get, during the season, all our snowbirds that come from, frankly, all over the United States, but this year we're going to get more from Orange County, Los Angeles, close by, because they're buying homes out there. In fact, in your area, how are things going out there in your area? You can send me a note here on Facebook. For those of you on Today's California, I am looking at my phone. I'm going to try to answer. If I'll look down, but I don't want to look down too much because I think that's kind of rude. Yeah. Something else to do in California, I love trains. I love train travel. I've been from here to New Mexico on a train, had a little sleeping compartment, just loved it. I think it's so much fun. Now, if I had to sit in a seat and sleep overnight in a seat, maybe not so much fun, but the dining car and the sleeper cabin, and they're a little small, they're not big, and they have this little tiny restroom, but it's just sit there and look out the window and I don't go to the dining car. I love train travel. And if I will go to any train museum if there's one nearby. I will definitely stop by in my travels. And the Southern California Railway Museum begins its second Saturdays. They are in Perris, California, Perris. And this has some wonderful exhibits there. They have actually train and trolley rides, which are going to be open on the weekend. Take the kids going out there to the Southern California Railway Museum in Perris, California. It's just, I don't know, there's something about train travel and taking the kids up to a big old train and their eyes are this big and getting on a train and going. So that might be something that you want to do. There is a fee to go in there. Let me see, I'm trying to see what the cost is. I have all these notes. You know me and my notes. Sometimes I have way too many notes. But anyway, just check it out. Go to SoCalRailway.org. Again, that's SoCalRailway.org, and do something different. You know, break up your weekend. Go have some fun. Go to the train museum. Oh, Lane is watching. The Railway Museum is wonderful. Yes, Lane. I love. There's a Railway Museum in Sacramento that is incredible. Where was I on a trip was I doing a show? I think I was doing one of our television episodes. Was it up by Ramona? Was there one? I don't know. There's railway museums everywhere. And for me, the older the train, the more fun it is. Of course, I'd love to go on a bullet train. When I was in Europe, I did not go. I spent 3 months in Europe 1 year and then several other times, but I never have been on the bullet train. So that's quite an experience as well. So anyway, think about it. Look in your area to see what museums you have within your township community. And if you haven't been, go support them. And remember, you do need reservations to go into museums now, but support them. Go and see something that's right in your own backyard that you've never seen. You know, just a suggestion, just a suggestion. All right, what else is going on in the world of travel? Well, they're going to Disney World. Our governor here in California is actually going to go to Disney World in Florida to see what they are doing and to see why we can't do the same thing here, which I'm sure that we can, and open our theme parks in California. Because as most of you know, tourism is huge here in California. Those theme parks employ thousands of people, and right now they are sitting closed. However, SeaWorld is open, and anything that has to do with animals is open. So what is the difference there? I don't know. But we will hopefully, Newsom will come back with some good thoughts and open up Disneyland. Now, Disney World in Florida is open, and they're already promoting their holiday extravaganza, holiday, everything for the Christmas season. So if you're looking to go to a Disney park somewhere, you might want to consider Florida. All right, flight bookings for the fourth quarter travel are down 83% globally, but bookings to Mexico and the Caribbean looks significantly less bad than the rest of the world. And two Mexican destinations bookings are at or exceeding 2019 levels. Now go figure. Now I know Mexico's been doing a great job as far, a lot of countries frankly are doing a great job, but they have been doing a very good job there as well about how they're handling COVID and how they're handling travelers coming in. And do you know what two places are doing so well in Mexico? I want to say hi to Dan Scanny as well. He said, we rode the vintage trolley in Paris many years ago. 'Twas fun. And back to trains real quick, the Sugar Pine Railroad in Yosemite, before you go into Yosemite, Sugar Pine, you drive this vintage steam, you ride in this vintage steam locomotive that goes through the forest in this big loop. A lot of fun. Don't miss it. I did that as well. That was one of Hugh Hazard's favorites, by the way. All right, so what two places in Mexico do you think right now are soaring in popularity? It's one of them's probably very obvious. I know Gary just got back from Mexico and beautiful pictures, stunning resort with ACT Tours. But the two places that are doing so well, their bookings are all-time high, is Cabo San Lucas, yes, Cabo, and Cancun. Cancun is going crazy, off the charts as well. So if you're planning to go to Mexico to get away from everybody, you probably won't, because there's going to be quite a few people down there. But it's good to see that they're doing so well. And like I say, I just know someone else who just got back from Mazatlan and said that they are doing a great job with all the COVID requirements there. They had a fabulous time in Mazatlan. I frankly love Mexico. I love the people. I love the food. I love how creative everyone is down there. The colors, such vibrant colors everywhere. So if you've never been to Mexico, might be something you might want to try right now. Right now might be a great time for you to go. Some people, not everybody. I should strike that word from my vocabulary. Many people feel worried about the food and the water. And yes, you do have to be careful, but I've been in Mexico so many times and I have these great tacos from the street vendors, great food from street vendors, great food from beautiful restaurants, and I never got sick until I got home. So that was me. But I used to laugh. I said, I'm not sick in Mexico, but yeah, I get sick when I get home. So maybe, I don't know, but the food is so delicious. Anyway, so there you go. Anthony says, oh, Lake Elsinore. Yes, right. Paris is by Lake Elsinore. Paris is not in Lake Elsinore. Well, maybe, is Lake Elsinore in Paris? Maybe it is. Yeah, because they're right over here. only about an hour away from the desert. Anyway, okay, so that was the railway news. Don't get me, my brain going in a different direction. All right, St. Kitts and Nevis, they are opening October 31st. Visitors will be tested for COVID-19 and then must quarantine for a week at an approved accommodation, of which there are currently 4. So when you go to St. Kitts, you have to quarantine, and then you're allowed to roam free. And Anthony, I make myself laugh. So this is something that has changed the way we travel, but you also have to think cost-wise, because these accommodations you're going to have to pay for. They're not free to be quarantined when you go somewhere. So when you're booking your trip now, and you're getting such a great deal, because there are fabulous deals everywhere, make sure that you find out what the protocols are for the quarantine. Are you going to have to quarantine? Are you not going to have to quarantine? If you do quarantine, who's going to pay for that? How much is it going to cost? These are all things we would have never factored in before the virus hit, but we have to factor in now. And time-wise, if you only have a week-long vacation time available, and you have to spend 4 of it in quarantine, are you sure you still want to go to that destination? So there's a lot more questions that you need to ask now than just booking a trip. And if you book trips online, and you don't talk to an agent and you don't talk to the destination, you might be in for some big surprises when you get there. So for those of you who just book online, it's probably time that you start calling an agent. Call the airlines, call the resort, call the chamber, call the tourism of wherever you're going and find out exactly what the rules are. Or call ACT Tourists. Yes, they will certainly answer a lot of your questions, and I do have some trips that they're booking coming up. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yes, traveling is not just hopping in a car, going to the airport, flying somewhere, because you don't know what's going to happen when you get there. So do your due diligence and find out so you don't spend more money than you can afford, you aren't stuck there longer than you have time to be there, and you don't have a terrible trip because of it. All right, while itineraries to most remote parts of the world may offer, see, when I read, I always mess up. If I just do it without a script, it flows so much better. While itineraries to the most remote parts of the world may offer safety to travelers, they can be a threat to the wildlife and indigenous communities they visit. So a result of that, many of these expedition tours, what they're called, they're very small groups of people, or they're on small ships. And I'm talking ships of 150 people, and not the mega ships with 3,000. A lot of these expedition trips now are totally revamping how they're doing it, because they don't want to take the disease to areas where these people do not have hospitals and doctors and whatnot. And I appreciate that so much, because frankly, that could just wipe out an entire village. So thankfully, they're following guidelines. They're staying away from a lot of these places right now. So if you are a person that likes to go on exploration or expedition tours, you should back off for a while, because they're not going to be having very many of them. And frankly, you shouldn't be there anyway at these small villages. Stay away, because they do not have vaccines. So I'm really happy to see this, because they are amazing trips. And they were fantastic. You would see places that the average traveler would never go and see, but not right now. Okay? All right, passengers who boarded the Costa Smeralda in Italy are now urged to carry a device that will identify anyone who has been within 6 feet for more than 15 minutes. Yes, again, the world of travel is changing. On cruise ships, they are going to monitor where you are on the ship now to make sure if you were in a large gathering and someone in that large gathering tested positive, they can find you and let you know. So again, let's say passengers are urged to carry a device that will identify anyone who has been within 6 feet for more than 15 minutes of someone on board who subsequently tests positive for COVID-19. So be prepared to wear devices that you never wore before. This is going to happen. Madrid, Spain. The central government's measures prohibit all non-essential trips in and out of the capital and 9 of its suburbs. So if you have a trip planned for Madrid, that's changing. Affecting some 4.8 million people, restaurants must close at 11 p.m., stores at 10 p.m., Both must limit occupancy, so right now might not be the best time for you to go to Madrid. Okay, you might want to rethink that. And Carnival will not sail until November. Yes, or actually won't sail in November. The line canceled all remaining cruises still on the schedule for the month, including sailings from Miami and Port Canaveral, excuse me. They will not be, again, sailing. Cruise ships are having a really tough time getting back into action. They're not sure how they can monitor everybody. They're working on it. It's going to happen, but again, Carnival Cruise Lines will not sail in November. All right, just want to give you a heads up on that. All right, it's Halloween coming up this month. It is October. Those of you who like the paranormal, who like ghosts, who like UFOs, who like all that sort of crazy stuff, I'm sure that's a lot of you out there, because I do too. Yeah. I like that commercial with Casper the Ghost. I would love to live in a house with Casper the Ghost living there with me. That would be fun. Anyway. All right, so I have the list of places where you can see where the most UFO activity has been throughout the United States. And let's see, have you been to any of these? I know some of these you've been to. I've been to as well. Of course, there's Roswell, New Mexico. Everyone knows about Roswell. And there's Area 51 in Nevada. We all know about that one as well. But Roswell is because of a mysterious object that crashed in 1947. So they're not really telling us if it was a UFO or not. But anyway, and Area 51, of course, has that base there that is pretty crazy, that is very top secret, where they supposedly have a UFO somewhere in there, but we have never seen it. Other places include Skinwater Ranch in Unitah Valley, Utah. Never heard of it. McMinnville in Oregon. I've never heard of that one either. In 1950, Life magazine published some of the most famous images of UFO in history from this town in Oregon. So that is McMinnville. Who's been there? Oh. All right, also Sedona, Arizona. We know they have the vortex, but they are also known for sightings of UFOs. And Flatwoods Monster in Flatwoods, West Virginia. Well, the name right there, Flatwoods Monster, would scare me. But that is in Flatwoods, West Virginia. They had an extremely large amount of UFO sightings there. Fargo, North Dakota. The first sighting was in 1948. Of course, the TV show Fargo. Marfa, Texas. They have had a lot of sightings there. Colorado has some freaky stuff. Yeah, well, there you go. All right, Dan, I think he said he's been to, I don't know where he's been. He's probably been to all these places, but San Luis Valley in Colorado. Again, we go back to Colorado. And Hudson Valley, New York. Since 1909, this area north of Manhattan has reported startling eyewitness UFO accounts. And that is Hudson Valley, New York. So, hey, Michael, how are you? We're talking about UFOs and where you can see them in the United States. Have you ever seen a UFO? Do you ever look out at night, look in the sky and see some light off in the distance shining and you wonder, is that a star? Is that a UFO? If it doesn't go anywhere, it's a star. If it starts moving and stops and moves and stops, probably a UFO. That is my unexpert opinion on UFOs. All right, ACT Tours. They have some trips coming up. You can go to their website, act-tours.com. They have a tulip cruise in Europe coming up in March of next year. They are booking for these trips, by the way. Mother's Day in Waikiki Beach in May of next year. Ark Encounter in Washington, D.C. These are all next year trips. They're going to go to Puerto Vallarta again. They just got back from Puerto Vallarta. Prices range anywhere from $9.95 per person up to $19.95. There's a Nile cruise, Treasures of the Pharaohs, A Best of Egypt, $24.95. Some great trips coming up next year. ACT Tours, they are booking. Give them a call. Go to their website. Check it out. All right. And I also want to thank all the sponsors. Dan says he's been to McMinnville, Oregon. The Spruce Goose is on display there. So that is where the Spruce Goose went, from Long Beach. I knew it went to Oregon, but I just wasn't sure where. That's very interesting. I have been on the Spruce Goose, not flying, but on it when it was in Long Beach. But very interesting. Okay, I want to thank all the sponsors of this show. If you know anybody that works well with Traveling with Francoise, and as the pandemic goes away, Craig and I with Live What's Happening in Coachella Valley will be out more. This show will be out more. You can see all my television shows. I have a television show that airs on Fox 11, Fubu, Hulu, and more called Traveling with Francoise. We just launched our 21st episode. I'm looking for some new destinations that I can go to and film. Perhaps there's one in your area. You can get me by going to the website travelingwithfrancoise.com. My contact information is all over that website. Check it out. You can also check out Artifacts and Arts Across America, the nonprofit that is the umbrella for all that I do. So I want to thank Mike Thompson's RV Superstore in Cathedral City, Bruce Titus VW of Palm Springs, A1 Custom Golf Cars, Diane Williams and Associates, Indian Ridge Country Club in Palm Desert, Borrego Springs Resort and Spa in Borrego Springs. If you're going out there, check it out. They have great facilities there for you, spacious rooms with balconies. Let's see, ACT Tours, Dana Wharf whale watching, beautiful. Whales are all over the place right now because the weather is warm, the water is warm, the whales are migrating. Let's see, it is winter, so they are going down to Mexico during the summer. They go back up to Alaska, and frankly, the whales used to migrate only for a couple months going into winter, a couple months coming out of summer, and now because the weather's warm, the water's warmer, they frankly migrate almost all year long. It's kind of crazy out there. So Dana Wharf whale watching, the place to go to see that. Johannes Restaurant in Palm Springs, they are open. Cabot's Pueblo Museum, not open yet. They're supposed to give me a heads up. And Arctire. So on that note, everyone out there, have a wonderful week. Use your common sense, wear your mask, use your hand sanitizer, get out there and explore something close to home. And remember, as always, it's never too late to get alive. See you next time. Bye.